this later. Thanks for joining. Thanks for watching. Today is February 15th, 2026. This is a podcast from the great state of Arkansas, three deep south. I'm Mason. That's Justin. Kind of what we're going to talk about today. Obviously, we're going to have to address the Trinidad Chambliss court ruling. Beyond what that means for Ole Miss, we'll talk about that a little bit. But I want to get Justin's take kind of on the precedent that kind of sets. We're going to talk about maybe forward looking what we would like to see, like if we kind of had like a wish list or just like a vision of what we wanted to see from the podcast. And I don't know, we'll see where that puts us, and maybe we'll talk about some other stuff. We're kind of just making an episode to make an episode, I guess. Justin, how was your week?
It wasn't bad, man. It was kind of a funky week just because of the weather. It's February, but it feels like it's about April. So that's kind of weird. But other than that, man, it was good. There wasn't really any big stuff coming out with college football. I mean, obviously the Trinidad Chambliss thing came out. Alabama and Ohio State. They're supposed to play in a home 2027 and 2028. I'll talk about that in a little bit too. And kind of where, I think we should probably talk about what we think college football could be in the next 10 years, and maybe kind of throw in, like, if this happens, what does this mean? You know what I mean? And then obviously the Trinidad Chambliss news is like kind of in the forefront of everything right now, just because that takes Ole Miss from being a fringe top 25 team, most likely. I know they have talent, but I mean, when you have he's probably going to be the Heisman front runner, especially coming off what he did in the playoffs. When you have that, I mean, now they're probably a top 15, top 10 team, and really, they have high aspirations for this season, especially off the season that they're coming off of. We can either get into that or we can wait and talk about something else first. But
no, we can get into it. Okay, so basically, what happened was on the 12th, so 2 or 3 days ago, an Ole Miss graduate judge made a ruling, basically overruled the NCAA's denial and granted Trinidad Chambliss eligibility for a sixth year. Now, the details on it were very hazy, in my opinion. So he was at Ferris State, and Trinidad and his lawyers and his whole camp says that he got a medical red shirt, and the rules are different in Division II. I guess if you play a single game, you don't get the red shirt. Or
that's how it used to be. How it used to be in all of football. But
and so essentially, an Ole Miss graduate was the one that made the ruling, and so basically, to talk about the Ole Miss ramifications, what it means for the Mississippi Rebels, in my opinion, that launches Ole Miss from being somewhere around 6th or 7th or 8th in the league, projecting to 1, 2, or 3, in my opinion.
For sure.
They finished 3rd this past year, and then they went to the semifinals and they beat Georgia, the SEC champion, in the playoff. But I think it vaults them forward because in the world of college football right now, the one thing most teams don't actually have around the country, I mean, there's a few cases, but most people don't have a upperclassman that has been in the system and has proven on a big stage that he can win. Most teams don't have that. Ole Miss has that, and now Ole Miss is granted eligibility with that for another year. And I think you would be very dumb to not take that into account. Now, as far as the Heisman, you're right. I think he should vault to the top of the Heisman predictions, betting odds, all that stuff. But I think it has a lot more ramifications for Ole Miss and maybe opens up that title window a little bit because going into this year, no one thought that they had a chance, and then they're in the semifinals, so it kind of extends that. And Arkansas doesn't play him, so I don't care. It's fun for me. But kind of what I wanted to ask you, Justin, is what precedent does that set going forward in a scenario where you can kind of what do they call it? Stack the odds in your favor of getting a player like that another year. I mean, what is that kind of?
Yeah, so I don't now. Obviously, I love just college football in general, and the how do you want to say it? Like the like the Johnny Manziel years, and like that player that just takes the world by storm. Or like you look forward to them coming back. Uh, C.J. Stroud, Justin Fields, K.J. Jefferson for Arkansas there for a little bit. Obviously, not like
Not to
Bryce
that
Young
extent.
or yeah, not to that extent, but you get what I'm saying. I love all that, but at the end of the day, too, like when are we gonna? I wanted Trinidad Shameless to come back, but when does it stop? Like how long is he getting his like doctorate degree? I mean, like I know that he wasn't at Ole Miss, but like you're playing college football the whole time. I don't care if you're at Ferris State. I don't care if you're at Alabama. I don't care where you are. You're playing college football the whole time. You should get 4 years. Maybe you should get 5 years total. Now, if you play all like Jeremiah Smith, he couldn't do 5 years. You can only do four. But like all this extra stuff of like, I mean, like last year, Carson Beck was a freshman in college when Malachi Tony was in like eighth grade or ninth grade. It's like I don't like that does give you an advantage if your whole team is made up of 25-year-olds. Like I just don't like I don't like it, and it really. I mean, if you're not ready for the NFL by year 4, you're probably not going to be good enough to play in the NFL. I mean, I know there's some weird scenarios to where like occasionally you'll get a player that like was a walk on in a 6th year and like played his 7th year, but like you see it more and more now ever since COVID that like all these kids are getting extra years, and it's like I don't like it, and I don't like how they pick and choose who they give it to. You can't sit here and tell me Trinidad Shameless would have got this extra 6th year if he would have played for, I don't know, Syracuse. Kyle McCord didn't get it, and he didn't have a red shirt. You know what I mean? So it's like it's kind of like they pick and choose who they give it to because guess what? Trinidad Shameless is going to bring numbers. He's probably if he has a season, he's like you said, he's the best odds to win the Heisman. So it's like that's going to bring revenue to college football. So like I don't like how they pick and choose who they give it to, and like I think I personally think 5 years is you should be done
Well,
because that puts you at what 23 years old. Yeah, like 23 years old. Like
yeah,
I
23,
know your
24.
body's all the same, but there is a difference between a 19-year-old and a 25-year-old. Like big
Well, I mean, you
difference.
saw it with Indiana. I mean,
Yeah, yeah, and I
talent.
mean that.
Not saying they're talentless or that they're void of talent, but I mean, comparatively, according to the paper, they weren't as talented as every team they played in the playoff, and a
No,
lot of
they
the
were the
teams they played in
least.
the Big Ten.
Yeah, they were the least talented team out of all the national champions since the playoffs started, even back to the 4 team.
So, and I mean, not to say that that's not. I mean, not to say that it wasn't good for Indiana wasn't good, but you
Yeah,
definitely saw a difference. But kind of what I'm what I'm getting at with this is like, let's say I don't know, Wake Forest. Let's say Wake
hmm
Forest gets a quarterback and they really like him, or a running back, or a D end, or a punter, or a kicker, and technically he appeals. Okay, so he goes through that whole process, and they just get a judge. Okay, well, and then North Carolina does it, and then Arkansas
yeah,
does it, and then
yeah.
Cal does it, and then Boise State does it, and then Texas State does it. And then, you know what I mean? Like
Oh, the
the
NCAA is just getting ran through right now. Like, there's
well,
no.
yeah, the precedent that this sets is, and the NCAA set themselves up for this. In my opinion, the NCAA did this because they would grant it to some people. Like there was that tight end. Uh, that
There was
transferred
one
from
from
Illinois.
Oregon. Yeah.
Yeah, there was that one at Miami. There was that one like they set them up
Yeah.
where they allow like teams like Ohio State and Miami and Oregon and Alabama and Georgia and all these people to. Oh, it was from Georgia to Illinois, and he didn't get granted the waiver. Is what I was thinking of. But
Yeah.
like they allow these people to just get this waiver, and they allow the COVID year, and then they allow a medical, and then they like the NCAA set themselves up for this, and the
Yep.
NCAA also set themselves up by they aren't really a ruling power, and like
Yeah.
I hate to say this, but like you would want to think that everyone was in it in good faith, and they're not. Everyone's in
Yeah.
it for themselves, which is fine. It's a competitive thing, but like if everyone
Yeah.
was in it for themselves, this would not be a problem. Like
No.
it would be like I would say like if I was judging it, if I was the all ruling power, I would have been fine with Trinidad Chambliss. I would have been fine with it
Yeah.
because like if I got all the facts and the facts were as I read them, I would have said okay, that's fine. But like the tight end that got hurt 4 times at Oregon and everywhere, and then went to Miami, and he was there for like 8 years.
Yeah.
Like I'm sorry, that's to play. Um,
Yeah. I'm over
a
the.
lot of people's teams wouldn't be able to play. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just
I'm.
I think it sets a bad precedent. And I think going forward, you're going to see this on a much larger scale. Is kind of what I'm getting at. I think, and I don't like that.
No, and the thing is too is like when like for one, when does it stop? And then for two, like especially since you have the transfer portal, I could understand somebody wanting to play 6 years if it's like, dude, the first 4 years I was in college, I had to sit behind Marvin Harrison Jr., Emeka Egbuka, and Carnell Tate. It's like, and I'm using that team, or I'm using that team just because I know the players and all that. But like, I could understand that. But like now that the transfer portal's open, like
Go
you can
somewhere else.
transfer, yeah, you can transfer anywhere you want to. And the thing
Mm-hmm.
is, if Trinidad Shameless wouldn't have played, and it would have been who's their first starting quarterback? Austin.
Austin Simmons.
Yeah, Austin Simmons. Like if he would have just played the rest of the season, Trinidad Shameless wouldn't have played this year.
No, he
Like
wouldn't.
nobody would care. He would be gone. His year would be done. He would be in the AFL next year, most likely, unless they figured out a way to redshirt him. But like, I mean, yeah, I just think it's because it's like who he is, and there's a lot of notoriety around him that he's getting this opportunity, which is great for him as a person. I just think in college football, it really, I like as much as I want college football to be great and great to watch and like bring back the old style of college football besides the playoff format and stuff like that. I do think in the next 3 to 5 years, college football is going to take a horrible like descend, and it might happen for like 2 to 3 years, but it's just like there's no rules. There's no
Mm.
rules at all. Like it doesn't like, and the amount of money. Like I don't have an issue with like the transfer portal. I think it needs to be regulated a little bit better, and I think I love that college players are getting paid. A lot of people don't. I love it. I think it's great. But there's no regulation. That's the problem. There's no regulation at all. And as soon as there is regulation, for example, what's going on right now, they just hire a lawyer, and the NCAA doesn't really have set in stone rules. So the lawyer's like, well, you can't do that because where does it say he can't do this or can't do that? Like, it's just
Mm-hmm.
a free for all right now. It's literally like Call of Duty in college football. Or not
Well,
Call of Duty, GTA, sorry.
yeah, what I don't understand about it is like it felt like let me think. It wouldn't be 10 years ago because it's 2026, which is unbelievable to me.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
let's just say 16 years ago, 2010. At the turn of the 2010s, we were in a spot where you had 4 or 5 years. 4 if you
yeah,
redshirt, and if you graduate transfer, you can transfer anywhere in the country. You can transfer anywhere in the country, and you saw it.
yeah,
A
yeah,
graduate transfer, you could transfer anywhere in the country. Okay, and then we had regional conferences. We
yep,
had TV deals that were just fine. I mean, I
yep,
understand that money is what makes everyone talk, but we had TV deals that, in my opinion, made college football more accessible to people. Whether you could pay $40 a month for ESPN or not, it made it very accessible back then.
Yeah.
We were in a spot where bowl games mattered. We were in a spot where conference championships mattered. We were in a spot where, like, in my opinion, like a big problem with the game is that there's so much of this like going
Yeah.
on between players that like you can't really install a unique system. So like
No.
in 2010 we had Mike Leach running the air raid, and then you had triple option. Well, then Oregon was running this huge spread. Ohio State was more pro style, running the ball but throwing deep shots at the same
Yep.
time type of game.
Alabama
And then
was real
Alabama
like
was running the power I and winning
yeah.
national championships. And like we had
Virginia
all
Tech,
this
Georgia
variety.
Tech, like it was
Yeah. Like we had all this variety. And every Saturday, you could turn on the ACC network and watch the slow mesh from Wake Forest versus the triple option at Georgia Tech. And you'd be like, wow, what a matchup. And then, like, stars were born and they felt more homegrown, I guess you could say. But even if they
yeah.
weren't necessarily from there, they felt a little bit more like it because you saw a guy like Dak Prescott, for example, rise up at Mississippi State. Like
Yep.
you saw these, it just was in such a better spot 10 to 20 years ago
Yeah.
that, like,
And
sorry.
no, and I was just gonna say, and too, like players like would go to a school and they fell in love with the tradition and the I call it the brotherhood, the family, whatever you want to call it, of the school because they didn't have any other family, especially if they moved. If it was like
Mm-hmm.
a kid from Texas that went to Alabama or California to Ohio State, or because kids traveled across the country, especially big time players, but like they would not they would not have the money to bring their family up for every game and spend the whole weekend and buy their mom an apartment off campus
Mm-hmm.
to pretty much stay up there. Like they didn't have that. So they really dug deep in the tradition of college football. And I don't feel like you do have it, but I think it's for different reasons now. It's not for the same reason as what it used to be.
Like, as far as from me to you and every other fan across the country, the sport has grown. It has. Like,
Yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't know if this is just from my perspective because we live in the South and I'm surrounded, all I listen to is college athletics. But college football to me seems like the most popular thing in the world, in my
Yeah.
world. But it's even as far as the country goes, it's like the second most popular postseason sport right now. It's
Yeah.
surpassed NBA and it's surpassed Major League Baseball, which you could not have said that years ago.
No, no,
Um,
no.
so I do think that it has grown, and I think to an extent the entertainment value of it, like sitting down on a Saturday, like no one would have ever thought Indiana would be competitive, or like you know what I'm saying, like the entertainment value has
No.
grown because there's more opportunity for teams like that. But like to me, the passion doesn't feel like it's as there anymore. Um, the traditions feel like they're lacking. Everything feels like a money grab, from the ticket
Yeah.
prices to buying a polo to the shirt Justin's wearing right now to even being able to watch your team on the TV. Everything
Yeah.
feels like a money grab right now, and it's like I guess maybe it was young innocence being a child, but it didn't used to feel that way to me. It
I
didn't feel
think
that.
Yeah, I think it was the innocence that we did have and the naiveness because it was still there, but it wasn't anywhere what it is now. You're 1,000% right on the take that you're having. Like it just does like it feels like a more NFL style model with the fans making it more than what the NFL is. That's the best way I can put it. There's no difference right now between the NFL and college football besides the fans. That's literally it. You think
Yeah.
about it. You take I don't know, uh Ole Miss versus LSU that's coming up here. What's going to make that game so wild?
Definitely Oxford,
The
Mississippi is
the
going to be
fans.
insane.
Yeah, the fans. So then you can take Georgia, Alabama. Yeah, there's a rivalry there, but there's no different rivalry on the field than like the Seahawks and the 49ers. But what makes that game different? The atmosphere. The fans
Mhm.
make it different. The product on the field is different. You do have blow up players more. I'm not saying you don't, but like from a standpoint of like the product that is getting put on the field and what you're seeing and the way that players are playing and the way that it's coached and the way that it's pretty much drawn out like a circus act, everything is the same between college football and NFL football besides the way we look at it from a fan's point of view.
Well, and
The
I do agree with
rowdiness,
that.
the amount that I hate Michigan more than the Steelers fan hates the Ravens. As a
Mhm.
as a conglomerate of fan base, like you that's what it is, and you have people that you don't have that, and the other difference is statewide. Like people from Pittsburgh like the Steelers, but there's also people in Arkansas that like the Steelers. So it's a lot different like that. But pretty much every state has a college football team that is of significance. So it's like it's very statewide. Like everybody in Arkansas, I would say what like 85-90% of them are Hogs fans. Same way with Ohio or Texas. Well, Texas is a little different, but like they're still a fan of the school in their state.
Mhm.
In NFL, you don't get that. But everything else, I mean, it's hard for me to depict the difference. Like if you took Ohio State versus Miami and you put them in a Dolphins uniform and a Browns uniform and you silence the crowd, it would look pretty much the same thing.
Yeah, it would. They're even in. I guess that's a big problem I have too. Is like the NFL is such a copycat league. It's so
Hmm.
much like
Yep.
I don't know what's something that worked really good this year. I didn't watch any NFL besides the
I
Super
watched
Bowl.
a little bit. It's and that's yeah. I mean, I don't
The
really
the
know of
tush
something
push,
that.
tush
Yeah,
push. Okay, like for
yeah.
like right now, the tush push is like
Everybody's doing it.
everyone's doing it. You know what I mean? But the Philadelphia Eagles are super good at it. Whatever. That will get stopped, and then everyone will be running that defense. Everyone will be drafting
Yeah,
those type of players. Everyone will have that
yeah,
type of scheme. It's like the NFL is such a copycat league, and it's competitive copycatness. But like
yeah.
college football used to just feel so unique. Like Texas Tech did not feel the same as Arkansas. Texas Tech,
No,
watching Texas Tech football in 2010 felt worlds different than watching LSU or Ohio State or Miami. You know what I mean? Like Duke. Like you
yeah,
could watch Duke and you might see the weirdest off. Like you're like, what are they? Like they're running sweeps
yeah,
and options or maybe they're running halfback pass and just or maybe they're diving it every time. But like I'll never forget Iowa State beat Oklahoma State in Ames, and the most like remember from that game is they had a white running back number 34 and they handed it off right down the middle and he beat the number 2 team in the country like and it was just like a random Friday night. It was just a
yeah,
random Friday night. And
yeah,
like now it just that happens but like everyone's running the same shotgun style RPOs or and it's just it's boring to me to an extent like I don't know.
yeah. I
I
think
wish
there
there was.
are, I think there are differences on the offensive side, but as a conglomerate of everything, you're exactly right. I think where we're seeing the difference is the defensive side of the ball, because in the NFL, like quarterbacks know how to read defenses. If you're a
Mhm.
starting quarterback in the NFL, you know how to read defenses. A lot of
Unless you're
places,
Drake May, and then you're
yeah,
getting chased by. Never mind.
bingo.
He got
So
sacked 10 times. I'll give him a break.
yeah. So, but like now you have defenses in college that can disguise things and confuse the quarterback. That's the big difference for me. I do notice a difference in the offensive side of the ball. I just think that the teams that are running it are so out of the loop that we don't really care that much.
I
And
mean, yeah,
talent
I
is
mean,
so
obviously there's
dispersed
some teams, but it felt like every
as a
team.
whole. Yeah.
In fact, I'll never
Everybody in
forget
the playoffs.
NCAA 10, the EA Sports NCAA 10. Whenever you would scroll through the teams that you wanted, like I'm sitting here with my controller, acting like I'm scrolling. it would tell you multiple run heavy, pro
Yeah.
style, option, spread, high fly. Like it had
Yeah.
so many options.
Yeah.
Like
You don't get that
everything was
anymore.
different. Now
Yeah.
you have a few teams that run
Yep.
unique things. Everyone else is doing the exact same thing. And I think
Yeah.
it's because the RPO, if everyone's doing it, it makes it easier to teach it whenever you get a transfer guy in.
Bingo.
I think that's part of it. I also think I don't think it's simpler for I don't think it's simpler for the quarterback necessarily, but like Tennessee, for example, Tennessee runs a bunch of option routes. They spread it out
Yep.
and they run a bunch of option routes. You know how hard that is to teach to,
Yeah.
okay, you got Joey Aguilar, new
Yep.
quarterback, and then you got new wide receivers, and then you've lost some wide receivers, and then you got to teach this big, complicated option offense. And it's like you don't see that uniqueness everywhere because of like Josh Heupel is an offensive mind,
Yeah.
and not to say that other people aren't offensive minds too, but like he's kind of a special offensive mind in my
Yeah.
opinion.
He runs a different, like, his style of offense. He teaches his quarterbacks to focus on one side of the field. It's option routes. And theoretically, if you give them two routes and they're both option routes, one of them should be open. That's why a
Right.
lot of Josh Heupel's quarterbacks don't work out in the NFL, is because they don't run option routes in the NFL.
No. And
Then
so
that's why
like
you see mediocre quarterbacks go there and have crazy numbers, is because it's all option route. I don't want to say junk because it works, but like that. But that is the difference in college football now. Like as
yeah.
a as a surface level standpoint, if you were just to watch Tennessee and watch Arkansas, you wouldn't see the difference. You'd be like,
But
oh,
like
that's like the
Tennessee
same
and
style
Arkansas
offense.
are different because they run different things. But like
Exactly.
Tennessee's like one of the only teams running that. Like
Yes.
but like Arkansas and LSU and Ole Miss and Texas A&M, Alabama. I'm just thinking of the teams that Mississippi State, like Missouri hands the ball off a little bit more. Oklahoma, they all ran the exact same offense this year. And I watched them all, and they all ran basically the exact same offense. They had different play callers, so they had different tendencies, but
Yeah.
everyone was doing the exact same thing. And it's
Yeah.
just like, so you can definitely see, like, I saw that John Mateer wasn't as good as we thought he was very early,
Yeah.
but I don't know. It's just less fun for me. But let's talk
Yeah.
about what we want to fix. And in 10 years, how would your perfect college football landscape be? Like what would you like to see?
Okay. So obviously, the season needs to be moved up to like where it starts earlier. Um, it doesn't really matter when. I don't mind the number of games that they play. Transfer portal is fine. Um, they should do it. I don't mind the transfer portal now, the way that it is. I think it should be bumped back though until after the full season is over. National
Mhm.
championship game is played on the first of the year on New Year's Day or New Year's Eve night. Transfer portal opens up the following week. So it gives everybody the same amount of time to worry about transfer portal. There's four conferences. I don't mind the four conferences how it is now. Obviously, you can take teams from one and put them in the other. I think there needs to be four conferences. I don't mind how it's divided up, but I wouldn't mind also seeing it divided up a different way. I can't tell you right off the top of my head how I think it needs to be divided up. I think it is a little bit of a long travel for Ohio State to go to UCLA, but it's kind of like that's kind of is what it is. There's not a perfect way to divide it because any way you divide it, teams are going to have to travel a long ways. Um, I like the playoffs. I wouldn't mind seeing it go to a 16 team, but if it stays at 12, that's fine too. I do like the 12. My biggest thing is every conference plays a 9-game conference schedule. Has to. Because now a lot of conferences are so close together. Now, the ACC lacked this year, but guess what? Next year they might be good. The Big 12, they were okay this year, but they weren't great. The SEC was down this year. The Big 10 prevailed this year. Like every conference, year in and year out, we can't just sit here and say, well, this conference is better, so they don't need to play as many conference games. Because this year, was the SEC closer to the Big 12 or were they closer to the Big 10? I think they're closer to the Big 12, personally.
Oh, that's your
Unpopular
bias.
opinion.
That's your bias. They
It's
had
not.
two. Okay, look, and I've said this a million times. The SEC as a conglomerate was never the best conference in the world.
Yep.
It was the SEC West. The SEC West, and the SEC West this year would have been Alabama playoff team, Ole Miss playoff team, Texas A&M playoff team. That's the best. That's the best division in football.
Yeah, but we're not divisions anymore.
But
So, like,
that was the conversation. So like everyone that's your anti SEC.
no,
Hearing that
the
crap,
argument was always because even when we had West and Georgia went on their run, it was still the SEC's the best conference.
but people were wrong about that. They were riding coattails about that. The SEC was close. The Big Ten and the SEC were head and shoulders above the Big 12. Head and shoulders.
You're probably right. And the only reason I
So,
bring it up is because it's still talked about, and that's one of the things I'm going to bring up later in the show too, is because it's like we got to stop the bullshit of that because it's not like that anymore. So for one conference to be like, well, we don't need to play an extra conference game because our games are just harder. Get the fuck out of here. That's the most bullshit wussy take I've ever heard in my life. To be like, well, we shouldn't have to play an extra conference game, and if we do, we're not playing an out of conference hard schedule. So every team has to play non-conference games. I don't care. Schedule your conference. There's going to be a team like Arkansas that gets absolutely brutalized, and that's up to the SEC office. Just like there might be a team in the Big Ten or the ACC or whatever that has to play all the hard games. Well, guess what? That's not a national problem. That's your own problem inside your own conference. Everybody plays 12 games. So you have nine conference games, and then you have 4 out of conference games. So 13 games total before the Big Ten, SEC, ACC championship. You have 13 regular season games. Your first week is all bullcrap. I don't care who you play. You can play UCA, you can play Arkansas State, you can play Miami of Ohio, you can play whoever you want to play. That's going to be on Memorial Day weekend. And the big game on Memorial Day weekend gets played Sunday night. It's going to be Army-Navy. They get their own weekend besides bullcrap games. Every team plays bullcrap that week except for Army-Navy. Weeks 2, 3, and 4, Arkansas, I'm just saying Arkansas, but everybody would have to do this. Arkansas has to play a Big 10 team. Arkansas has to play an ACC team. Arkansas has to play a Big 12 team. And they have to be a team that is somewhat based around where you finished in your conference the year before. So we're not getting these schedules where it's like we know the schedule for Ohio State 2034. Not getting it. Like that's dumb.
But the problem with that, and the only reason why I say that is because like you've said that a couple of times. The only problem with that specifically, is that you have like Louisville, Kentucky, Florida State, Georgia Tech. Like you have rivalries that, to me, to preserve college football, and I'll let you continue to describe this. To preserve college football, you have to protect those rivalries to every extent.
And we don't have to do the whole like Georgia, their ACC team that they would play would be Georgia Tech. We can do it that way because you're right. It would if we did it the way that I'm talking about, where Arkansas plays the 8th team in the ACC, the 8th team in the Big Ten, and the 8th team in the the Big 12. Your rivalries would be toasted. You wouldn't get them anymore. So I just think that cross conference games need to be a priority, not just for fans because it's good games, but for everybody. Because now more than ever, the conversation has grown to a point, not in, your sense, you don't really like talking about it, but in the national sense, it was talked about it on ESPN multiple times constantly, Fox, is what conference is the best. That's kind of always been a discussion, but it was always a thing to where everybody knew what conference was the best conference. In the 2010s, the SEC was the best conference. But now it's grown to a thing to where so many people talk about it. Paul Feinbaum talks about it. It's a huge thing. They don't talk about it in the NFL because you have so many cross conference games, and you're like, yeah, I mean, the you know the AFC's West is good, but they lost all their out of conference games, so they're probably not as good as what everybody thinks they are. And I just think it gives more clarity when you get into the big playoffs because, like last year, teams got into the playoffs and teams didn't. A lot of people thought South Carolina should have got into the playoffs. A lot of people thought Alabama should have got into the playoffs. I mean, Alabama and South Carolina were raising hell about not getting into the playoffs. Well, then guess what? They went and played their bowl games and they both lost their bowl games. So it's like you can't sit here and tell me you deserve. And we would get more clarity off of having games at the beginning of the season and out of conference. There's not enough out of conference cross playing going on right now, and that would be the number one thing that I would change in college football. Is there has to be more cross conference playing.
I agree. I agree with that. But my biggest priority, I guess you could say, would be I'm going to fix the conferences. We're not USC and Oregon and
Yeah,
Washington, and they're all going back to the Pac-12. Texas and Oklahoma are going back to the Big 12. Colorado's going to the Big 12. Notre Dame's joining a conference. I don't care what happened in the 1900s. That doesn't bother me. In
yeah,
fact, I don't care about
yep,
anything that happened in the 1900s, like
yeah,
as far as it relates to sports. Um, like everyone, you're going back to a regional conference, even if that means Texas A&M and Missouri, they have to join a different conference. I'd be fine with Missouri. Regionally, really, they did belong in the Big Ten, really. But I mean, I guess if you conglomerate Nebraska, Oklahoma, Missouri, maybe they could be Big
yeah,
12. That would be my number one thing because to me, like it ruins a bit of like the pride of. I hate having these conference conversations to me because to me it would be like if you were a Patriots fan and I'm a Cowboys fan and you said the
yep,
AFC is the best conference. Like you have 16 teams across. Like
yeah,
what are we arguing about? What are we? The
yep,
Big Ten has 20 teams.
yeah,
The SEC has 20 teams. What are
yep,
we're not
yeah,
arguing about? Like there's no pride talking about California, Oregon, and then New Jersey or Texas, South Carolina. Like that's you're talking about different parts of the world almost. In my
yeah,
opinion,
a
like
thousand
it
percent.
takes days to get to these places. You don't know these people. Like I don't know. It's something that bothers me is that there's no regionality. There's no like you can't have a rivalry with USC. Ohio State cannot have a rivalry with USC.
No,
It can't happen.
no,
You can be like, "Oh, I hate them on Twitter. I
yeah,
hate I hate this guy that's from USC." Like Texas and South Carolina really can't have a rivalry. They
no,
don't and it's just that ruins a lot to me because I think a big part of being in Arkansas specifically is we are bordered by six teams that I hate. I hate Missouri. I hate Oklahoma. I hate Texas. I hate Ole Miss, and I hate Mississippi and or Mississippi State, and I hate Tennessee too, another border school. And a big part of that was like you are gonna run into those people, and like you're gonna hear them talking to you. You are
yep,
never. You might run into. I might see one real USC fan in my entire life.
yeah,
Maybe. I mean, really, or you
yeah,
might see more than that. But like, there's no regionality, so there's no pride as far as like the SEC West being good wasn't pride because oh well we got our ass kicked by Alabama but Alabama won the national like some people are like that. I was never like
yeah,
that. The only thing would be but like it'd be like well Arkansas went 8-4 LSU went 8-4. Ole Miss went 8-4. Alabama went 11-1, and then we all won our bowl games. And it's like, well, dang, look at that gauntlet that we went through. Yeah, we lost to Mississippi State in Starkville on a Thursday night, but Mississippi State just went 7-5 and won their bowl game by 20. Like that was
Yeah.
fun because it would be like, well, I mean, we didn't realize that us versus Mississippi State was like that was a good game. Like we didn't even know them because we were both, 4 and whatever at the time. We had a losing record, and it was stuff like that was fun. But
Yeah.
like to me arguing that Texas, Oklahoma, like and then this like 20 team conglomerate is better than your 20 team conglomerate. It lost me. It lost me whenever that happened. I honestly was not a fan of Texas and Oklahoma coming to the SEC because the domino effect that we saw from that with the Pac-12 being decimated, and people can say that the Big 12 is better now, and to me it kind of is. But like BYU doesn't have to go back to independent in my world. TCU
Yeah.
doesn't have to go back to the Mountain West.
Yeah.
Utah, you have to go back to the Pac-12 because, like, to an extent, that was also part of the rivalry. That was also part of the tradition. We knew every week, like, Arkansas was playing LSU on Thanksgiving, or third Saturday in October, Alabama and Tennessee are playing, or that one hot Saturday in September, Oklahoma and Texas are going to play, or maybe it's October. I can't remember. But like, you always
Yeah.
had this big thing coming up, and it meant something to you because it was like, oh, well, I know this Texas fan and I know this Oklahoma fan, or this Texas fan that really hates Oklahoma, and you would really love to see Oklahoma beat them just so you can tease him. But like Oregon and Ohio State, that's a big national game, yes. That would be a
Yeah.
big national game if Oregon was in the Pac-12. In fact, it was whenever they played in 2021?
Yeah. 2021. Yeah.
Like that was a big game. Doesn't have to be a
Yeah.
conference game. That can just be a good game that we get every once in a while, and it would be fun. And then Oregon and USC, or Oregon and Washington, because Washington State was good at times in the Pac-12. And yeah, they might not be actually good. They might have played through a crappy Pac-12, but isn't it fun to see a half-ass good Pac-12 team run through the Pac-12, and then you get to see this crazy offense, and then they score 50 points a
Yeah.
game, and then they go to a bowl game. Yeah, they might lose. Who cares? It was more fun watching those games matter than watching Cal go play Wake Forest, or Cal go play Syracuse, or Stanford go play Miami. Like that doesn't mean anything to me. That's a
Yeah.
September game. That should not be
Yeah.
a November game.
Yeah. I really don't like how big the conferences are. I miss the old conferences. Uh, you know, because the Big Ten East was always, I would say, in the last, I don't know, 5 years, but they were like that. They were really top heavy because you had Ohio State, Michigan, and Penn State. Um, obviously we didn't win the national championships like the SEC West did, but I would agree. I mean, I like the bigger conferences, but I don't like it at the same time. It's kind of a give and a take for me. Um, I think it's cool to have like games where you travel a little bit further, but I also miss kind of like what you said, to where it was more spread out. I think the reason why they did that is because if you think about it right now, so the SEC or the Big Ten has won the last three, and before that, it was the SEC, which was Georgia. So, like, if you go back to the traditional SEC and Big Ten conferences, like, they would still be the only teams. Like, it would literally only be the SEC and the Big Ten winning national championship games. I think now, I mean, it's still that way, but I think the bigger programs that have came over to the SEC and the Big Ten at least get a share of that money. Like Georgia still got
Yeah.
shares of the money from the last three national championships. Texas got, well, I guess they weren't in the conference yet, but Like I really do think, Mason, that we're eventually going to get to a point to where we're in two conferences.
Well, and I hate that.
I do
Like
too. I don't like it either. It's going to be
that's
like
not
the
college football. Like
yeah, it's going to be North versus South. Really, they're not going to call it that because of political reasons and historical reasons, but that's pretty much what it's going to be.
well,
Um,
and my biggest issue with it really is that all of this. I was talking about money grabs earlier, right?
yeah,
All of this is a money grab. What can okay? So let's say on the second weekend of November, there's you're not quite to rivalry week. Conference championships are kind of tying up, but you have Texas playing Kentucky. Okay, well, ESPN can sell that game. ESPN can sell
yeah,
that game because you still get to see one of the biggest brands in college football. That's what ESPN's thing was. Oklahoma versus South Carolina. Like, that's a fun game, I guess. Like, we thought it was going to be more fun than it was, but like,
yeah,
you can sell that game because Oklahoma is a huge brand. You can sell Oregon versus Iowa or Oregon at Northwestern or Oregon at Rutgers better than you can sell Oregon at or better than you can sell Northwestern at Rutgers. And that's the type of thing that this all became. It became a network money grab. And it has given us some things. Like as an Arkansas fan, the fact that we get to beat Texas at baseball and basketball every year is pretty fun. That's fun. It's fun. It's fun to beat them in football if we ever do it again. Um,
yeah,
but like that doesn't outweigh to me the fun that I had knowing that I don't know Texas Tech and Baylor were gonna have like this crazy Saturday night game, which I guess we still get that game. Yeah. I don't know.
yeah,
Texas and I don't. You just had more regionality and more rivalries back then.
yeah.
Oregon and Washington State would be a sneaky game, or Oregon State and Oregon was a sneaky game.
Yep, yep,
UCLA sometimes whenever they were decent could sneak up on some teams, and like I don't know. Ohio State Iowa means more to me than Oregon Ohio State. It just does.
yeah, yeah,
Minnesota and Iowa means more to me than Oregon Ohio State. Now, national perspective, no, it doesn't mean anything. But like if Oregon was to lose to Iowa, everyone would be excited. But if Ohio State was to lose to Iowa, they would be playing the replays for 10
yeah,
years.
yeah.
In
You're
fact, the
exactly right.
reason I know that is because the Purdue social media
Yep,
tweeted a video of them beating Ohio State before 2020. They did
yeah,
that like 2 weeks ago.
yeah,
I saw a Rondell Moore highlight against Ohio State at
yep.
Ross-Ade like
Ran
a
through
week
us.
ago. You know
Ran
what I'm
through us.
saying? Like I
Yep.
like that meant something. It doesn't mean anything if Kentucky beats Oklahoma. That doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, besides just conference standings, you're exactly right. I mean, I do miss it. I don't. I don't know. I mean, hopefully it'll get better. I think it's just going to get worse on that standpoint, which I don't mind it. The last thing that I was going to talk about, Mason, which I mean, you might not even know this. Alabama's trying to cancel the home and home against Ohio State in 2028 and 2027, 2028. I'll let you talk about it first because I'll probably just end the show with it because I have some points that I want to bring up about it. But like, what do you feel about that?
It's exactly what Alabama said they were going to do.
Yep,
So the whole poker chip that Alabama and the whole SEC has been holding this whole time is we have all these games scheduled. We have
yep,
Michigan, Oklahoma.
yeah.
We have Texas, Ohio State. We have Alabama, Ohio State. We have Arkansas, Utah. We have LSU and whoever.
Georgia, Ohio State in like 4 or 5 years. Yeah,
Yeah, like we have this poker chip of all this money that we're going to make these networks, but we don't play non-conference games. Um, they had some statistical points on that, which whatever, but and then kind of essentially it wasn't just the Big Ten, but it was the Big Ten and the ACC and the whoever else. They kind of were like, well, to do the playoff, like we'll only agree to this playoff if you agree to this. So that's
yeah,
why they did that. So Alabama said they were going to do it. I think it's soft. I think personally,
Yep.
I think if Alabama thought they could beat Ohio State, they would play it. Honestly, I do.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
if Alabama thought that, like, if they had Nick Saban, I don't think they would cancel it. They don't have Nick
No.
Saban, and
Yeah.
and they've noticed the downturn. I think that's kind of what it
And
boils down to.
that's okay. So I this is really, and this probably won't be just because I see a lot of things on internet. When I talk about this topic, especially, Mason hates it because Mason's probably one of the sole SEC fans that doesn't believe what I'm even talking about. Not believe it, but like he was never even before we started the podcast, like Mason was never a SEC like homer pusher. But Mason also, that there's a lot of them out there, a lot, and you hear them a lot on networks. Paul Feinbaum's one of the world's worst SEC coaches. I heard Lane Kiffin, I heard Kirby Smart, I've heard 2 or 3 other ones get on there and talk about it. How every week is a playoff week. Nobody knows exactly who they're going to be, and it's just harder. Mason didn't say that. Not just some random person on the internet said that. No, Kirby Smart said that. Lane Kiffin said that. Diego Pavia talked about it. Now, I know he's just a player, but like what I'm bringing up are not just random things that I've pulled from internet posts from somebody living in his basement. These are big United States known coaches, players, media personnel that have their own TV shows that are talking about these things. The whole thing to me is it's not like that anymore. It hasn't been for the last 3 years. You can't go 4-8 in your bowl games in out of conference play, but then claim that you're the toughest conference. You haven't even made it to a national championship in the last 3 years. You got to stop with the bullshit of we're the toughest. It's not even fans anymore. Fans are kind of saying it, but a lot of SEC fans have kind of piped down because there's nothing to argue anymore. It's the coaches, it's the ADs, it's the SEC commissioner, it's the personnels that we listen to on a day-to-day basis on ESPN and all these other places. What I am getting at is you're exactly right, Mason. We don't know who scheduled the Ohio State Texas game. We don't know if Texas tried to schedule it. We don't know if Ohio State tried to schedule it. Maybe we do if we dug into it. I haven't. But what you were saying, and this isn't like an attack on you, but like what you're saying is like the SEC believes because they came out and said it. We don't think we should play an extra conference game because we have Ohio State on the schedule, we have Michigan on the schedule, we have Florida State on the schedule, we have all these out of conference games. They've came out and said that. Well, guess what? So does Ohio State. And guess what? They play non-conference games. So the whole thing of like, well, we schedule hard out of conference games. Yeah, so does every other team that is on your schedule that's not in your conference. So to me, if you're the big bad wolf from the South, don't be a wussy. Don't be a bitch. Play that game because you're so much better. If your conference is that much better, you should walk through every other conference. But you don't anymore. So the canceling the home and home, like you said, it's just a wussy way out. Just because you're having to play the same number of conference games as Ohio State, now you don't want to play it anymore. Because guess what? This is next year. Because obviously, we can only go off next year's conference off of last year's results. Now, the transfer portal makes this really hard because, like, Alabama plays LSU. LSU was awful last year. They're probably going to be a top 5 team this year. So it's a little bit different.
God, I hope not.
But, like, I would say next year, Ohio State's schedule is harder than Alabama's.
Yeah, I've already looked at it. It is definitely. It's probably the toughest
Big
schedule in the
team.
Big Ten for sure, without a
Yeah.
doubt.
Did it used to be like that? No. Was it like that last year? No. Never claimed that. But like the way to sit here and say, oh, well, we don't want to play non-conference games, so we're not going to schedule out-of-conference games that are difficult games. Why? Why? That means you don't want to be the best. Sorry, you don't want to be the best. Guess what, Texas? You didn't get left out of the playoff because you lost to Ohio State. You got left out of the playoff because you lost to Florida. Sorry, I mean, you can't pick and choose what games. Like, oh, well, we lost to them. That's why we lost. No, that's not why you didn't. That's not why you didn't get in the playoff. You didn't get in the playoff because you lost to a crappy Florida team. Like the whole argument is just like it used to be something to stand on, and now it's really not. And I don't like bringing it up, but when you hear it constantly, it's like I eventually have to talk about it because you do hear it a lot, especially right after the Big Ten won the national championship again. A lot of media personnel, Paul Feinbaum came out and said it, and he's the biggest SEC choker I've ever met in my life. If you can put two and two together, and he came out and said it that the SEC isn't what it was. The Big Ten is the superior conference now and has been for the last 3 years because that's what it is. But don't sit here and fight it and act like y'all. When I say y'all, I'm not. Whatever. Don't act like the non-conference games is just oh my gosh, that just makes it harder. Yeah, everybody's schedule is harder. There's teams in the SEC you can go to right now and be like, Georgia schedule next year is absolutely awful. They're going to skate through. Just like 2-3 years from now, Ohio State's schedule might be that. It was that way last year, but guess what? This year it's not that way. They have the toughest. They have the toughest schedule behind yours truly. I'll give you one guess who has the toughest schedule next year, Mason.
I already know.
I'm sorry.
Seen it.
Yeah, but I mean, it's such a argument that I'm so tired of hearing in the national media. And I think it's finally came to a point to where it's not like that, but we have to get out of the whole like mentality of we already play a tough schedule, so why are we going to play an out of conference schedule that's tough too? It's like, you know what was a big knock on Ohio State, and I truly believe it was the demise of the season because they didn't really play anybody hard all year long until Indiana, until they got into the playoffs. Because guess what?
Between week 1 and the conference championship, I mean, you played
Michigan and Washington
Illinois
was a decent.
Okay. Texas, Illinois, Michigan, yeah. I mean,
but nothing
what
like
we played. It wasn't anything.
Exactly, not anything what it's going to be next year. So my whole thing is like for Alabama's sake, next year when they were supposed to play Ohio State. Well, guess what? At the end of the season, you're going to have to play a team like that again. If you go to the playoffs.
Yeah.
So why not? Like, I get tired of like we're canceling the game because we don't feel like playing that anymore. And
it's all about getting to the playoff because that's what it's all about. And
yeah.
And not to just harp on just Alabama because they're not the only ones doing this. Indiana canceled games.
Yeah,
I mean, Indiana canceled games.
Yeah.
Other teams have canceled games. I can't think of everyone off the top of my head, but like this is a problem where people are throwing fits for some reason. I don't know. Kurt Cignetti just won the national championship, and a year ago he's like, "We're not playing West Virginia. We don't care. We're not playing them." Like, why?
Why? Yeah, it's
What's
stupid.
The point?
Yeah, I don't know. I just brought up the Alabama thing because I thought I mean, that's a big game. The last time we seen that game, the last 2 times those teams have played were in the playoffs. And yeah, Alabama waxed our ass in what was that 2022? But guess what? That's still, I wouldn't say it's a rivalry, but it's still a game that it would be a good game. And I like that
game. It's like Duke, Kentucky. Yeah. It's not a rivalry, but that's a
exactly
game.
And I just think it's a wussy way to not play a quote unquote tough schedule or whatever you want to say. I just don't like it. I don't like it for anybody. I don't like it if Ohio State canceled. I don't like it when Indiana canceled. I don't like it at all. I think the reason I brought up the Alabama thing and kind of went on that tangent was because the whole 9-game schedule this year has been this like big whining point for SEC coaches, which is very annoying to me.
I agree. But that's all I got. I'm about to have to go pick up my child, so I gotta
You're good.
kind of
That's
hurry
all
up
I
here.
got too, man. Don't
Well,
forget to
everyone,
like and subscribe.
yeah,
Follow us on Facebook. This is a busy time of the year. Mason's got his own personal stuff going on. I do too. We are going to try to post more on Facebook to let you guys know when we go live. But at least if you turn your like and subscribes on and your notifications is a big one, because then you'll see when we go live and you can come on and ask us questions. We're going to try to post more on TikTok, but we don't want to just post random TikToks of us just talking back and forth. So just bear with us. We're still new at it. We haven't even been doing it for a year. But mainly like and subscribe. Comment on any videos that you see in our Facebook, and we'll talk. Give us some talking points, even if it has nothing to do with the post. Just comment something, and we'll try to bring it up. But that's all I got, Mason.
that's all I got too. Y'all have a great day.